What's up everyone, this is Chris back with the Bimmer Barn, and today we're going to be looking at all the parts that I bought to fix the maintenance items and then some on my 335 project. So I know some of you guys have been really excited, you guys have been waiting for this content, and I finally just bought everything. And so I figure I'd take you guys through, and in today's video I'm going to be unboxing everything, and then we're going to talk about how much all of it costs in order to get your 335i fully maintenance spec'd out. So let's go ahead, pull the car in, and start unboxing everything. So I've got a full printout of everything that I bought here, all the parts, all the prices. We're gonna go through and unbox each box one by one and show you all the parts that we got, as well as what they cost. And then at the very end, we're gonna show you guys a grand total of how much everything cost in order to get my car fully up to spec on maintenance and get it resealed, no more leaks, no more problems. That way you guys know what to expect in case you are buying a 335i and you wanna say worst case scenario, you have to fix all the stuff that's wrong with it. So let's go ahead and get our first box out and get right to unboxing things. Now here is the most recent box that we got, and the packing slip fell out of it, so I already know what is in here, but this is our automatic transmission service kit. So here in the box, we've got plenty of fluid to fill up the automatic transmission, and this is Liqui Moly ATF 1800 Top Tech fluid. You also get the bolts for the drain pan fresh, and you also get the fill plug for the fluid. Now the 335 uses a automatic transmission pan that is integrated with the filter. So here is the neck of the filter right here, and it's integrated into the pan here. So you have to replace the whole thing when you service the transmission. But this is a genuine ZF part. And in case you were wondering how much this costs, this is gonna run you $173 before tax. Now this is kitted out by FCP Euro. I think they save you just a little bit of money from putting it all together, but not much. And it's all you need in order to service your transmission. I've seen these transmissions start to have issues around the 100 to 120,000 mile marker, and that's right where this car lands, a little bit over actually. So we're going to go ahead and do the fluid as preventive maintenance and hope that the car runs a bit better after it's got new fluid in there. Now we've got a slightly smaller box. Let's go ahead and open this one up and see what's inside. So the packing list tells me that this is our valve covered gasket. Very common on the 335 to see go bad. Typically every 60,000 miles, I'd say, sometimes even sooner. Really depends on how the car was driven and if you did plenty of oil changes. But yeah, you'll notice this leaking oil into the spark plug tubes and causing misfires. When you pull the ignition coil out, you'll see that they're wet, full of fluid. So this is probably the most common thing that you'll have to do on a 335. And how much does it cost? $26.78. So the part is not very expensive. When you get it OEM from like dealership, it's probably gonna be double or 3 times that price. The thing is, the install time on this is going to be around 6 to 8 hours, so it can get a little bit pricey to do at the dealership or even at an independent shop, because 6 to 8 hours, you know, could be $600 to $800 at a very, very cheap shop rate, or even more, maybe double sometimes at different shops, depending on where you're located. So $26 part and $1,000 to install it. Crazy. Alrighty, we've got box number 3 now. Let's go ahead and unbox it, see what's inside. So it looks like we got some coolant since we're gonna be replacing the expansion tank and some hoses. We also got our jug of Liqui Moly, and I'm sure that there's probably a couple more in some other boxes to help complete the oil change. Now we're on to our second to last box. Let's go ahead and see what's inside this one. Look at that boxception. We have a box within a box. That is our expansion tank. Now the reason that we replaced this one is because the fluid level indicator inside of it is bad or basically broken. But also what commonly happens is that they start splitting at the seam here, and that causes a coolant leak in your system. Sometimes in the form of steam just coming out of here, but sometimes also in the form of coolant. And you'll notice like a white residue drying up here, but it'll be pretty obvious, and yes, they do fail quite commonly. Now, how much is this hunk of plastic right here, you might ask? And it doesn't even include the cap. This is $128. And the reason it's so expensive is because this is a genuine BMW part. I don't think that any good aftermarket manufacturer makes one of these. And so we had to buy OEM, but you know what? At least it is good quality and it looks good. So let's get our expansion tank out of the way. Nice, I think this is the big loot box. So this is the one that they shoved as much stuff in as possible. First thing that we see here is the oil pan bolts. These have to be replaced because they're made out of aluminum and they have a little bit of a stretch to them. So you could technically reuse the old ones if they came out all right, but it's best to have a full extra set of new oil pan bolts when you're changing the gasket. And this oil pan bolt kit cost $26. Now here's a jack pad adapter because I noticed that our 335 was missing one. Pretty common for these things to fall out, you know, just from being used, but sometimes if you run over something on the highway, it can knock it loose and knock it out. This was $11 and about 90 cents, so about $12 for this jack pad adapter. Now here is our upper radiator hose. These always break at this little nozzle right here that goes to the expansion tank hose. And I can see that on the one inside the car, it's basically like all brown and dried up. So the plastic is telling you that it's gonna break soon. So we bought this preventatively and this hose alone cost $30.20. Now here's a really fun one. I have 3 of basically the same thing because they all failed on my 335i, and these are the wheel speed sensors. Now I had to buy 2 for the rear, I believe, and 1 for the front. I might be getting these mixed up, but one of these costs $43 and the other one, whether it's the front or the rear, costs $57. So since I had to buy 3 of them, that's about 150 bucks in wheel speed sensors, but hopefully this solves our ABS light that we have on the dashboard. Now right here we have the 2 bottles of liquid moly to complete our oil change kit, as well as the filter for the oil. And this kit together comes to $62.18. And I like it because it comes with liquid moly, the correct oil, and a man filter, which I really love man filters. Right here we have a bottle of CHF 11S. This is the power steering fluid that you have to use in a 335i typically, and it'll say so on your power steering reservoir cap. So check before you buy your power steering fluid. Some cars, like the older ones, still use ATF. And this little bottle here cost us $17 about. And so we're gonna have to fill up our power steering fluid. I don't believe that we have any leaks, but it did look low. So this is gonna help us fill up our power steering fluid. Now right here we have the upper expansion tank hose. This is $26, and very commonly it'll either fail along the center here because it's made out of plastic, or like I said, that nozzle that's on the upper radiator hose will break off inside of here. You could probably still salvage the hose, but it's really important that you replace this before it fails. But like I said, we're gonna be replacing this preventatively so that we don't have any issues in the future. And that way we know that the car is gonna be good to drive for the next owner. Now here's something you can't forget to do, and that's your vacuum lines. The original ones on the 335s, they get really old, dried up, and they'll start causing boost issues with the vacuum actuated wastegates. So go ahead and replace your vacuum hoses if they're bad. This is a 5-meter roll from FCP Euro, and it's $26. Should be more than enough to do this car, and it's gonna give us extra to service other cars as well. So grab some, put it in the end of your box, and use it when you need to. And make sure that you get the right size stuff. That way you don't have any vacuum leaking issues or any problems in the future. All right, right here we've got a big box, a big bag of Bosch OEM spark plugs. These are gonna be the ones that have multi-point spark, heads on the top. And this bag was $54. They're about $9 a piece. Really recommend that you do these like every 30, 40,000 miles. If your car is tuned, you should probably be doing it even sooner, and you should probably be using a different plug entirely. So really discuss with your tuner if you're gonna be looking for a lot of power, what spark plug you should run. But if you're just chasing like a stage 1 map, you can still run the stock plugs fine and get away with it. Here we've got that nice PCV hose that was cut up to make our catch can at the back of the motor. Now this hose is made by Rain, and because it's aftermarket, it's gonna be a lot cheaper than the BMW one. This costs $34 for the hose, and it's gonna restore the factory PCV system, allowing the excess crankcase pressure to vent back into the intake manifold, but this valve in here closes off to ensure that you don't get any boost leak coming through. So $34 is definitely cheaper than a catch can kit, and that's why we're gonna be replacing it instead of doing something like a Burger Motorsports can or something like that. Do not touch glass. Handle with extreme care. Here is our xenon bulb. This is a D1S bulb. It's the factory for the xenon equipped 335s. This bulb costs $65 new. I only bought one of them even though both headlights are out because I'm not sure yet if it's going to end up being like a headlight module issue or not. So I figured that we get one bulb, try it out, see if it works or not. If it works, we can try out both headlights, and then hopefully that's our issue, $65 and another bulb, and we'd be on our way. So let's put this aside for now, actually somewhere special where we know it's not gonna be in any danger. I definitely would hate to break this before we install it. Right here we have a rain coolant hose metal connector. Now this is not an OEM part, and I'm gonna actually make a full video about this, but basically you can solve the weakest point on BMW's N54 cooling system with this. I call it the Mickey Mouse hose because of course it kind of looks like it has Mickey Mouse ears. And this is the most common hose that I would see pop off and break on the N54 and lead people to getting their car towed in. So I'm gonna put this aside for now. It's $17, but stay tuned for an upcoming video about this. Right here we have our expansion tank cap, and this one is made by Febby, so it's only $10. And I don't know, I didn't mention it actually in the last video where we went through everything wrong, but the expansion tank you could easily see was broken off at these seals here, and it had all that milky oil residue from our oil filter housing gasket being failed. So yeah, I saw this and I definitely added it to the shopping cart quickly. So $10 solves that issue. And here we have the intake manifold gaskets. This is about 18 bucks for the set of 6. Really recommend that you replace these when you service your intake manifold if you're doing like a walnut blasting or anything that involves removing it off of the head. I bought these because in an upcoming video we're going to be doing the walnut blasting procedure on my N54. I'm going to show you guys how we can get all the carbon buildup off without buying any super expensive tools, hopefully. Here we have our oil filter housing gasket. This one is 11 bucks, and this is the one that goes from the block of the motor to the oil filter stand. So the other one I think is around the same price, 10 or 11 bucks, and that's the one that actually goes to the cooling lines that go to the oil cooler. So that's a very common failure point, about 20 bucks in gaskets, about 3 or 4 hours of labor to replace these. Now here's this itty bitty O-ring that I bought. And guess what? It is for the power steering reservoir. So very commonly the power steering reservoir cap will leak, and I wasn't sure if that was the issue with our power steering, but I went ahead and bought this so that we can replace it. So this little $6 O-ring could keep your engine bay looking cleaner because it'll avoid having that power steering leaking or sweating out of the top where the cap is. And now our box is empty, so we just have one more to unbox, and I'm really excited to show you guys what's inside of this one because I think I know what's left. So here's our oil pan gasket. It's about $29. So 30 bucks plus 30 bucks for the oil pan bolt, and you got $60 in parts. Now, how long does it take to replace an oil pan gasket? It's about 8 to 10 to 12 hours. I guess it really depends on the shop and if they're gonna charge you the full book time for the job, because honestly it's pretty labor intensive. You have to drop the subframe, and some guys pull the subframe completely off. You can also get away with just sagging it down, but it does make it tricky to remove the oil pan and service this. But definitely very labor intensive. Would not recommend doing it at home for your average, car owner, let's say. But probably bring it to a shop and get it done professionally if yours is leaking, because you don't want to be in there twice, trust me. Now the last thing that's in here, I'm gonna go ahead and take it out, put it on the table, and unwrap it for you guys, because it's not something that we needed for this car, but I bought it anyways because I think that it really will help complete the car. So guys, don't ask me why, but I bought a full set of BMW original floor mats, and you know it's original because you got the part numbers right there. Look them up, guys. Anthracite N54 floor mats. I grabbed these because I think it really makes a BMW from the luxury perspective at least, and there's nothing like an OEM mat. They're so much softer than anything else I've ever experienced, and we even got the little grip feet so that they'll stay in the car well. I'm really not a fan of the floor mats that are inside the car now. Let me go ahead and grab them out of the car because I really just want to show you guys. So here's the driver one pulled out, and I actually looked it up a second ago, and these are probably like a set of F-Series floor mats or something. They're definitely not made for the E90 series. As you can see, you know, the shape is almost completely different. Not completely different, just this one is much shorter, and I really didn't like it in the car. So I'm getting rid of these. If you guys are local, if someone wants these, I mean, if you want to pay me for shipping, if you know what these are from, obviously missing a badge here, whatever, let me know. But anyways, we've got these nice carpet ones, and they're gonna make a great little addition to the car and help it feel a lot newer in there. So our grand total is $901 on all the maintenance parts that we spent, including the transmission service, oil change, valve cover gasket, oil pan gasket, those hoses, the expansion tank, some coolant, some CHF fluid, all those items, and it's not including the floor mats. So with the floor mats, it'd be $125 more, but that's not what this video is about. But I did want to share with you guys one thing that I would do if I were you that I didn't purchase on this round of parts, and that is the water pump kit. So FCP Euro has a water pump kit for $418, and that includes the thermostat, water pump, and some coolant to do those changes. Now, you would usually do the thermostat at the same time as the water pump because they are right next to each other and you have to get one out in order to get the other. So you might as well replace both, and they're very common for both of them to fail. So the water pump fails because it gets water in the board and the circuits start to short out, and then you literally just are left without a water pump. And then the thermostat fails, and it'll throw a code on the dashboard and give you like a, you know, cooling fault, and it might even put you in a limp mode as well. So go ahead and save yourself that hassle, buy the water pump early. I am not doing that right now, but we'll probably end up doing it in a future video. And if you want to see how we install these parts on the car, go ahead and click that subscribe button down below, because I'm going to show you guys in each episode how these parts are installed, some pro tips to help you go a little bit faster when you're doing the job, and make sure that you're getting the best performance out of your 335i by just doing all the maintenance. And I think that's really important before anyone gets into tuning, that you do all the maintenance, and that way your car is running 100%. So that is going to conclude today's video of us unboxing all the items. Now, if you want to see how all these things are installed on the 335, go ahead and subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to be doing a series of videos replacing all these OEM parts, and hopefully you guys can learn something from one BMW technician to another about how these jobs can be made a little bit simpler, a little bit faster, and easier for you. So I hope you enjoyed watching the video. If you did, leave a like or a comment down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And as always, I hope everyone has an amazing day. We'll see you next time. Alrighty guys, a quick teaser for you. I got a friend, his name is Kenny, he's actually a neighbor of mine, and he just picked up a new car. Let me know if you guys think that we should race this thing, and either the 335 or the M5. Check this car out. Kenny, we're gonna race sometime, right?
Yes, sir.
Cool. You have a good one, my friend.
All right, brother.